Hello everybody, my name is David. Thank you for watching today's video. Today is a video, it's kind of a part 2 of narcissistic abuse, explaining kind of what that is. This is the longer version. I made a shorter version and I published that yesterday. So if you're interested, I think watching that video is a good intro, a little bit, give you a little insight on kind of what I believe and what I think and what I'm trying to say. So let me start with, I've been a victim of this as well. So I'm experienced. So I'm going to tell you what I believe narcissistic abuse is, and I'm going to try and keep it simple. And I mean, I could go on and on and on and on trying to explain this. I have, at the time, right now, I have 450 videos, I think, trying to explain it. So I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible. This is based on my experience. And this is based on me assisting people in their recovery from this abuse for the last few years. What I'm explaining, by no means am I trying to say that this is anyone else's experience. I'm not implying that any of you have gone through this and this is exactly the same as what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say that what I've experienced or other people or what I know is any worse or any better or easier than your experience, okay? This is, and so I have to be somewhat general because everyone has their own experience and they're all different, okay? So I'm going to try to explain what it is, how it affects the victim a little bit, what's going on, and so therefore I have to be somewhat general. The more specific I am, the more I leave people out of their experience, what happened to them. So this is about emotional development. This is about our childhood. We develop emotionally from the time we're born well into our adulthood. And every year of that is crucial. And whatever our parents are doing, they're teaching us how to meet these emotional needs that we all have. A narcissist has had inappropriate parenting. I'm not going to explain totally what that is, but it's kind of like punishing without doing something bad. Abuse for no reason, don't know why, and then maybe praise them for something they didn't even do either. Very confusing. Inappropriate. Could be dad takes son to strip bar at 14, 15. Could be, all these different things. Lots of neglect, abuse, probably abandonment. So a narcissist is broken down. They never finished developing. They experienced some kind of childhood trauma. It halted this development. They never finished development. So they lacked something that's called empathy, and amongst other things. But their lack of empathy shows that they never finished developing emotionally into adults, to emotional adults. They lack emotional intelligence. I believe that people that become victims of narcissistic abuse as adults, I believe they experienced neglect, at least in their childhood. They might have been abused, there might be physical abuse, there might be sexual abuse, but I believe that there's a definite degree of abandonment and neglect in these victims. I'm finding everyone. So parents are teaching narcissists how to meet their needs, and parents are teaching victims of narcissists how to meet their needs differently. Without getting too into that, the narcissist is completely dependent on other people to get what they want and need. It's really hard or difficult or impossible for them to do things for themselves, to meet these needs. The victims aren't taught how to meet their needs either. What they're taught is to be quiet, smile, all that matters is what you do, and pay attention to how everybody else is feeling. And take care of everybody else first, and then you'll be happy. Okay? Whereas the narcissist is taught to cheat, lie, steal, manipulate, exploit to get what you need. Victims are too agreeable. Narcissists don't agree on anything. It's a match. So I hope you watch the shorter version so you understand what they're doing in the beginning of the relationship. They're mirroring that person. They have a very, very poor sense of self-identity, who they are. They're extremely impulsive. They feel horrible. They have the lowest self-esteem ever. They'll lie to themselves and they'll believe their lies. They'll be delusional. They have needs like everyone else, but they're taught to exploit people and use them, and they're completely dependent on people for these needs. So the victim has been neglected. They didn't get what they need. They may not have had enough love, attention. And if you don't understand this, then you must have had enough. That's the difference. Okay? If you can't understand what happens to a child and how they get involved in these relationships, and it's because they didn't have their emotional needs met from their parents, enough emotional attention. If you can't understand that, that's good. That's good. Then I hope that means because you had yours met. This kind of neglect is psychologically damaging, and you can see it in adulthood. It's worse than sexual abuse, and it's worse than physical abuse. It stays with these victims forever, and it causes all kinds of low self-esteem, low self-worth, doubt. When they meet this narcissist that gives them everything that they had a void in, it feels good, and their hormones, these victims' hormones, go up like crazy. And it's the same thing as when someone takes heroin. That's how good it feels. It's not the victim's fault. They have not felt this before. They didn't get this kind of attention and love in their childhood. So when they receive it in their adulthood after all these years, it's intense. And you believe that this is the one. This is it. This is the answer to my life. I'm alive. The narcissist hormones rise too and think, oh, this is the answer to all my problems. They put you on a pedestal. They love bomb you and tell you how amazing you are, how good you are, how smart you are, how clean, how nice you smell, how nice you look, how caring you are, how special and unique you are. And this is an adult who's been neglected in their childhood. Over time, you attach. The narcissist attaches. The narcissist cares about physical attractiveness. Victims of narcissists care about emotional attractiveness. They want to know who you are. The narcissist projects, this is who I am. And it's everything you want in another person. That's who I am. That's who I am. They live a lie all the time anyways. They have a mask, a false ego. They aren't very good in touch with who they are. They don't identify with things very well, like we do. So they become this ideal person. Like amazing. It's almost too hard to believe. But they confirm it over time, over and over and over and over again. After you're attached, victims of narcissists attach, and like us all, whenever we attached to our parents, we have emotions attached to these. And when we attach again in adulthood, these same emotions come up. If you can't understand that, most likely you didn't experience childhood trauma. You didn't experience a lot of neglect during attachment. So when you attach to people in your adulthood, you don't feel hopelessness. You don't feel helplessness. You don't feel anxiety. You feel secure. Maybe. I hope. That's good. But victims of narcissistic abuse were neglected to the point that when they attach again, they feel hopeless, they feel helpless. Okay? A lot of this trauma reoccurs, comes up again, and then the person that they attach to is exploitative, and they find out who you are, and they find out your core vulnerability. We all have one. We all have one. And it might be, fear of loss, shame, stuff like that. They find out what that is and they exploit it. After they've completely neutralized you in your life and got rid of everyone in your life. They've got rid of your family. They got rid of your friends. They'll get you to quit your school. You might lose your job because now the emotional abuse begins and it gets really, really bad to the point where it leaks into other parts of our lives. And now we have problems with our jobs. we weren't taught what to do with danger. We were neglected, remember? So a child who experienced danger at 5 years old, the parents teach them to remove themselves from it, to do something about it. If you're neglected, you were never taught what to do. You stay in it. You feel hopeless. You feel hopeless. You don't know what to do. When you feel that again, when you attach and someone starts exploiting you, you're helpless. You're hopeless. You're a 5-year-old that just sits there and takes it, doesn't know what to do. They need help. They need support. They need people. This is all, a neglected person is also somebody who doesn't like to ask for help. So if you have a friend who's experienced this and they're asking you for help, believe me, they need it. And they don't need you even to understand. They need you to listen and say, I'm sorry. And don't judge them. This abuse is insidious, and it causes post-stress trauma. It causes massive anxiety. It causes depression. It can cause you to be suicidal, self-harm, have addictions, work all the time, completely change who you are momentarily. So people did this, and people can help them fix it. They need support. They need people. And the thing that I try to explain to victims of this is when you try to explain what you've gone through to people who don't get it, it's very stressful. It's very stressful because you can't help the person you care about, and that's stressful. You want to be able to help them and say, hey, at least this is what you do to make yourself feel better. But you don't know. You don't know. What the advice you're giving is the advice you take yourself, and it works. But you were taught that. You weren't born with that. Your parents taught you that. Your caretakers. Victims of narcissistic abuse weren't taught that. And it's not simple. It's not just said. It needs to be felt. Victims of narcissistic abuse shut off their emotion. They shut off what their body's doing because it feels bad a lot of the time. They don't even realize it. A lot of the victims I help don't even realize they've had anxiety their whole life. Anxiety, no, I haven't had it. And you find out they've had it their whole life. They're not in touch with how they feel. They've had to ignore it because they've been taught to not give themselves anything. Don't pay attention to how they feel. Ignore it. Shut up. Suppress it. Numb it. And help everyone else. Be there for them. Be in tune with how other people feel. Makes you very empathic. Very, very empathic. So that you actually can feel other people's feelings. And you want to help them and fix it. And that's what they're taught to do to get what you need. To ask for it, you have to feel worthy. To have someone stop abusing you, you have to feel worthy. And victims of narcissistic abuse most often don't realize they had these feelings because it's about attachment. So we often will be the tough person who won't let anybody hurt us and back off. Can't do that, can't do that. Often. It's when we attach and you have someone exploitative, you just fall apart. Don't know what to do. Can't ask for help. Don't know how. Don't know who from. Everyone might be gone. I hope this helps a little better to understand. Like I said, watch the shorter version. Put these two together. I hope I covered a lot, or most. And I hope people that haven't been through this get a little bit clearer picture of what's going on. This is extremely hard to explain. I started my channel so that people, the rest of the world, could kind of understand what victims are going through and have gone through. And even 450 videos later, here I am making a video explaining it. And after this video, I'm going to need to do a lot more to try to explain it. I know that. So this is just some. Like I said, I try to keep it simple. Feel free to ask me questions, okay? Love yourself first, everyone. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.